There is a voice in your head that never stops talking. It wakes you up at 3 a.m. to remind you of a mistake you made 5 years ago. It narrates your life in real time, judging every interaction, predicting every failure, and analyzing every text message. It is the narrator. And for most of us, this narrator is not a friend, it is a tyrant. You try to drown it out with music. You try to numb it with Netflix. You try to silence it with alcohol or scrolling. But the moment the external noise stops, the internal noise returns louder than before. You are physically exhausted, but your brain is running a marathon on a treadmill. You are suffering from cognitive overload. If you are tired of being held hostage by your own racing thoughts, I need you to focus. In the comments, write, "Shut it down." We are about to perform a mental surgery using a scalpel that was sharpened 2,000 years ago. Most people think Jesus was just a spiritual teacher. They miss the fact that he was the greatest psychologist to ever walk the earth. In the Sermon on the Mount, he diagnosed the human condition with terrifying accuracy. He knew that the human mind is addicted to performance. We perform for others, and we perform for ourselves. We live in a hall of mirrors, constantly checking our reflection, asking, "Am I doing this right? Do they like me? Am I enough?" This constant self-referential loop is what burns out your nervous system. In Matthew 6, Jesus gives a specific, almost technical command to stop this loop. But because we have heard it in Sunday school, we miss the psychological genius of it. He says, "But you, when you pray, go into your inner room, close your door and pray to your Father who is in secret." Matthew 6:6. We read this and think it's just instructions on privacy. Don't show off. But the Greek word Jesus uses here for inner room is Tameion. It doesn't just mean a bedroom. It refers to a storage closet, a treasury, or a secret chamber within a house where valuable things were kept. It was the only room in an ancient Hebrew house that had a lock. It was a place of total sensory deprivation. Jesus is introducing an ancient Hebrew technique called shutting the door. The door is not just a piece of wood. The door is the gateway of your senses. The reason your brain won't shut down is that you have left the door to your 5 senses wide open. You are letting the world walk in and out of your mind with muddy boots. You are letting the news, the opinions of strangers, and the demands of your boss enter your Tameion, the sacred center of your consciousness, without a filter. Jesus says, "Shut the door." This is a violent act. It is active. The door doesn't shut itself. You have to get up and slam it. You have to consciously cut the feed. When you try to pray or meditate without shutting the door, you are just bringing the chaos of the world into the presence of God. You sit down to find peace, but your mind is still at the office. Your mind is still arguing with your spouse. Your mind is still scrolling Instagram. Why? Because the door is ajar. The hypocrites, the actors, stand on the street corners. They live for the external. Their minds are scattered across the opinions of thousands of people. Jesus offers the antidote, the secret place. But here is the conflict. When you first shut the door, it doesn't get quiet. It gets louder. This is why most people quit. You sit in silence, and suddenly, the narrator starts screaming. The boredom hits. The anxiety spikes. You feel like you are going crazy. You think, "I'm doing this wrong. This isn't peaceful." No, you are doing it right. You are finally hearing the noise for what it is. You are detoxing. The ancient Hebrew understanding of the mind is that it is a siege city. If you do not guard the gates, the enemy will occupy the citadel. Jesus is teaching us how to retake the city. He is teaching us that peace is not found in emptying your mind, which is dangerous, but in relocating your mind to a specific coordinate, the secret place where the Father sees. But how do you actually do this? How do you physically and mentally shut the door when your brain is addicted to stimulation? How do you move from the chaos of the street corner to the silence of the Tameion? In the next block, we are going to break down the practical steps of this technique. We will look at the Jewish concept of kavana, directed intention, and how to train your brain to stop scanning for threats and start scanning for presence. Once you have physically shut the door, you face the next hurdle, the noise inside your mouth. Most of us, when we finally get alone with God, immediately start talking. We start listing our problems, negotiating and updating God on the situation, as if he were a manager who missed the morning meeting. We say, "Lord, you know my boss is being unfair, and the car broke down, and I'm worried about the rent," treating prayer like a frantic briefing session. We act as if our silence might cause God to forget us. Jesus anticipates this exact behavior, and he crushes it in the very next verse. He says, "And when you pray, do not keep on babbling like pagans, for they think they will be heard because of their many words." The Greek word used here is Battalogein. It describes a person who stammers, repeats idly, or chatters nervously. It paints a picture of a pagan worshiper who believes their God is distant, asleep, or indifferent, requiring them to scream and repeat magical incantations just to get noticed. Jesus is effectively diagnosing the root of your mental noise. You are praying like a pagan. You are overthinking because deep down you don't believe you are truly seen. You think the burden of explaining your existence rests entirely on your shoulders. You believe that if you stop worrying, which is just a form of negative meditation, the solution will never come. Your brain is spinning because you are trying to be the general manager of your own salvation. Then Jesus drops the psychological nuclear bomb in verse 8. "Do not be like them, for your Father knows what you need before you ask him." Read that again. He knows before you ask. This is the kill switch for the anxious mind. If God already knows the problem better than you do, if he saw the email before you opened it and knew the diagnosis before the doctor called, then why are you exhausting yourself trying to explain it to him? The purpose of the inner room is not to inform God. It is to align yourself with the God who already knows. This brings us to the Hebrew concept of kavanah. In Jewish prayer, kavanah means direction of the heart, or focused intention. It is the direct opposite of mindless repetition. The ancient rabbis taught that a single word spoken with kavanah is better than 1,000 words spoken without it. To shut down your brain, you must shift your strategy from the quantity of your words to the quality of your trust. So, here is how you apply this in the secret place. When you walk into that room and shut the door, cutting off the outside world, you do not launch into a list of requests. Instead, you sit in the profound silence of verse 8. You consciously tell your brain, "He already knows." When the crushing thought of debt rises up, you don't fight it or analyze it. You simply whisper, "Father, you already know," and you let it go. When the terror of the future tries to hijack your peace, you remind yourself, "Father, you saw this day before I was born," and you release it. You are effectively offloading the data processing from your limited mind to God's infinite understanding. You are resigning from the job of being God. The reason you feel tired is that you are carrying the weight of omniscience, trying to know everything, and omnipotence, trying to fix everything. Jesus is inviting you to stop. He is the Father. He knows. You are the child. You rest. This silence is not empty. It is pregnant with presence. It is the silence of a child sitting in the same room as a loving father who is handling the business. The child doesn't need to understand the spreadsheet. The child just needs to know the Father is good. But there is one final layer to this technique. Jesus doesn't just tell us to shut up. He tells us where to look. He gives us a specific focus point that acts like an anchor for the drifting mind. It is found in the most famous prayer in history, which he teaches immediately after this. In the final block, we will see how the Lord's Prayer is actually a template for mental realignment, specifically the first phrase, which solves the problem of the ego. After telling us to shut the door and stop babbling, Jesus gives us the map. He says, "This then is how you should pray." We call it the Lord's Prayer, but we often treat it like a nursery rhyme. We recite it without thinking. But psychologically, this prayer is a masterclass in reorienting a chaotic mind. It is designed to cure what psychologists call self-referential processing, the loop where everything is about you, your problems, and your feelings. Jesus starts with two words that shatter the ego. Our Father. Notice he doesn't say my Father. In the ancient Hebrew mind, saying Avinu, our Father, immediately pulls you out of isolation. Anxiety thrives when you think you are an orphan fighting the world alone. These two words remind you that you are part of a family, and you are under the protection of a patriarch. You are shifting the burden of survival from your shoulders to his. Then comes the phrase that silences the brain, "Hallowed be thy name." This is not just a polite religious greeting. It is an act of awe. Awe is the only human emotion that effectively shuts down the self. When you stand at the edge of the Grand Canyon or look up at the stars, your internal narrator shuts up. Why? Because you are confronted with something so big that your little problems vanish. Jesus is teaching us to induce this state of awe intentionally. When you focus on the holiness, the vastness, and the power of God's name, your brain stops obsessing over your bank account because the scale has changed. You cannot be simultaneously filled with awe and filled with worry. Awe displaces anxiety. The prayer continues, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done." This is the resignation letter. Most of our mental noise comes from trying to build our kingdom and force our will on the world. We want people to act a certain way. We want outcomes to happen our way. Jesus says, "Let it go." To pray this is to say, I am resigning as the general manager of the universe. I trust your management better than mine. The relief that floods the human soul when it stops trying to control the uncontrollable is physically measurable. And finally, Jesus anchors us in time. Give us this day our daily bread. Anxiety is essentially a misuse of imagination. It is using your creative power to project disaster into the future. You are worrying about next year's bread, next month's rent, next week's meeting. Jesus forces the mind back to the 24-hour compartment. Give us this day. Not tomorrow, just today, just the manna for right now. By forcing your brain to live in the now, you cut off the fuel supply of anxiety. You can handle today. Nobody can handle the imaginary version of next year. So this is the ancient Hebrew technique to shut down your brain. It is not about emptying your mind into a void. It is about filling it with a greater reality. First, you physically shut the door to cut off the sensory overload. Second, you silence the babbling by resting in his omniscience. He knows before I ask. Third, you shift your focus from your problem to his person. Our Father, hallowed be thy name. When you do this, you are not just meditating. You are coming home. You are stepping out of the storm and into the eye of the hurricane where Jesus stands. The world outside may still be chaotic. The waves may still be crashing. But inside the Tameion, in the secret place of the Most High, there is a peace that surpasses all understanding. You don't have to live with the noise. The door is right there. The Father is waiting. All you have to do is walk in and shut the world out. If this deep dive helped you find a moment of silence today, share it with someone who is struggling with the noise. Let's build a community of people who know how to shut the door. God bless you.